All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We recently picked up a capture card along with Disney's Illusion Island, and we're going to show you some of the gameplay along with our feedback or our takes on the game. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around and we'll get started. All right, everyone, let's jump right on into it. So Jared, what were your, expectations for this game?
To be honest with you, not much because I didn't really even know what it was.
Okay,
You're hyping this game. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Don't follow the Switch a lot.
that's fair.
So when we first turned it on, I was not expecting much, to be honest with you. I'm like, oh, it's a little Disney
Okay,
game.
so when you see Disney illusion, the word illusion, like what popped in your head though, right?
I thought more like the Epic Mickey type of game.
Okay.
You know, the one with Oswald, like two-player. I kind of thought something like that, but like I said, I don't really follow
So
those type of games.
for me, this was announced, I think, at the beginning of the year, and we posted it on our Instagram actually when it was announced, and we got super. At least I was super excited for it because when I saw Illusion, it reminded me of the Sega Genesis
Yeah.
Mickey games, and so that's kind of what we were hoping for. At least I was hoping for when we turn this thing on. Is it going to be like that? And I saw some like screen grabs or whatever screenshots of it before it launched, and people were like, "Oh, it's kind of zoomed out too far. The characters are too small." So my expectations were tempered a little bit. Okay, so when we first turned it on, you get the music and you get to, I think, select your character,
Yeah.
right? And so the four characters were who were the four characters?
Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy.
Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy. And then, so when you pick them, you also can pick the difficulty level. Now, the difficulty level on this one, the game's not, at least for the first hour that we
Yeah.
played, it's not super hard, but you can give yourself a certain number of lives, right? Or health.
Hearts, yeah.
And they're equated into hearts. So one heart means it's a little bit harder. One hit and you're dead.
Yeah.
And then all the way up to 3 hearts. And then there's also a steel heart. So what I really like about that is if you are playing with, I was playing with my 4-year-old. When you're playing with your kid or somebody who's not very good, producer Rich, you give them the steel heart and they're invincible.
Yeah.
They can just run into everything and live. So I thought that was really cool. So it encourages you to want to play with somebody who maybe isn't all that good at it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So once you do that, you jump right onto the game. What were your first impressions then?
So when we first turned it on, the music did sound kind of like old school Disney type of thing. Kind of got you in the mood for, the old school Disney stuff. It is very, very good music.
Here we are. The perfect place for an island picnic. Maybe I read this map wrong.
Once you turn it on, the beginning cutscene is a little long. It kind of takes a while.
So the first cutscene, right, when they're
Yeah.
talking about where they got,
Yeah,
and all
when I
that
get the
stuff?
map and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then it just kind of takes a while. But I believe how I feel that Donald kind of saves it because he's such a jerk.
He's Donald. He's
yeah,
being Donald.
he's always negative, and that's why I picked him. He's like negative, and they're all trying to like make it like a fun thing, and he's just not having it.
Yeah, and whenever you even watch the Mickey cartoon or the whatever, he's always that way,
Yeah,
right?
he's,
And so
he's always on.
I feel like there's this nice I don't even know how you would call it, but like the game matches what you would see in
Yeah.
in the cartoons. So that first cutscene's a little while, then you get to play a little bit
Yeah.
until you're trying to find where to go. And that second cutscene though, it's like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, it's like Metal Gear Solid.
It's really
Totally.
long. So for me, I was a little annoyed by it because it's like I just want to get going. But what I did notice is, like I mentioned before when I was playing with Ben, he was super into the actual cutscene, and I asked him, kind of why, and it's to him it was because he's watching Mickey and then being able to play Mickey or Donald and then play
Yeah.
Donald. So for little kids, I think it's really cool because they watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they watch all this stuff on TV, and now they're able to play the game. And so it wasn't too bad for him, but for I think adults, it's a long cutscene.
Well, we had to play it like 3 times.
Well, and you fair. We were trying to figure out how to get the capture card to work. But you can skip the cutscene once you've already seen it. We just didn't want to do that because we feel like you got to at least play it correctly all the way through at least once. And so that's what we did. So after that cutscene, though, you start moving into the actual gameplay. What would you say this game is kind of like? What would you compare it to?
It's loosely slightly maybe by like a Metroid Prime and Castlevania, because you do backtrack a tiny bit, but a lot of times you move on forward to new lands. So there'd be a point where you see a locked door, you have to go and get 3 keys, and then go back to that door to move on to your next spot. Or also, you can't get to a certain spot because you need like a certain item to like
Yeah.
to climb on the walls or something. So there is a little bit of backtracking, but not like a full-on. They call it Metroidvania. It's slightly like that.
Yeah, and I thought going into the game too, I expected there to be a little bit. Again, we've only played about an hour and a half of this. Some fighting, right?
Yeah.
And right now, it kind of appears as if you're just traversing a world and meeting new characters along the way, which is really cool. But there's not a lot of it's just dodging, right?
Yeah, dodging,
Jump and
jumping over
dodge,
cactuses and
double
stuff.
jump and stuff like that. So at least again for the first hour and a half, it's not exactly what I expected it to be, but it is fun. Now I would say it's a lot more fun when playing with others.
You have to play multiplayer. I don't see how you could play this one player.
No.
I do like the fact that when a cutscene comes in or when you meet a new character and they're gonna give you a weapon, the other characters you're not playing with will pop on the screen.
Yeah.
So it's like you're always with them, even though when you actually play the game they disappear. But it's like they're always with you on this adventure. Yeah.
No, and I thought that's really cool too. And what I also thought was cool is when you, so the first player, the person who has the first player control, kind of sets the tempo, sets the speed. If I run far ahead because I'm the best, and the other guys can't keep up, they'll die, they'll lose.
Yeah.
But when you are playing with a little one, if you give them that steel heart, they'll just get into like a little envelope and just fly back up to you.
Yeah.
And so they still feel like they're playing. So I feel like the difficulty isn't really there unless you give yourself that one heart. But then again, when you give yourself a one heart, what can you do, Jared? You can hug each other and give them a second
Yeah, I was
heart.
kind of
So
lost. Didn't know what you're asking me there. I was a little confused.
we gave ourselves one heart to make it harder, and then we would just end up hugging to
Yeah.
get this extra
Yeah, so, it
extra
didn't
heart.
really, so as soon as you come back to life, you just see a character with their arms out, want to get that hug, get that
but
extra heart.
It was
I'm
kind
not
of
gonna lie, I was actually entertained. I didn't realize we're already an hour in. I was actually really entertained.
Yeah.
Now, me not, and this is not a knock on the game. This is more the knock on me not playing the Switch very much. Is I'm not used to that baby little control
Oh,
Joy-Con.
well, okay. So yeah, we actually you don't have a ton of controllers, so we actually took the Joy-Cons out. We were each playing with one little Joy-Con. Had we been playing with a full-size controller, probably a little bit more enjoyable. But that's what he's referring to there. That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
a
necessarily a
little-
knock on the game.
Yeah, and it's still control great. I mean,
Yeah.
I never felt like, oh, I can't jump. I'm never gonna like. I'm not the command of the control is not gonna make the character do what I want them to do. They move like great, and they did it, especially when you do like a double jump off the wall.
Uh-huh.
Like Donald had a plunger.
Yeah.
You know.
And I thought that was cool too. We made it to the second where you get your second ability. Really, it's just another way to jump higher.
Yeah.
And the first ability, everyone gets their own way of like double jumping. And then the second ability is you get to jump off walls or wall kick or wall, whatever you want to call it, wall jump.
Mhm.
And it's really cool because when that cutscene happens and they all get their own thing, kind of fitting their style of play or their style of character. You look forward to that. It's really cool,
Yeah.
even though they all do the same thing.
And then the guy gives you stuff forgets about Donald. And Donald doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's I like it a lot so far.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go too much more into the weeds. We haven't played a ton of it. We just wanted to get a little bit of it out there in front of you with some gameplay, kind of for our sake to learn how to use a capture card, but also to kind of share that with you guys. So, I guess would you recommend this game, Jared? And if you do, are there any caveats? Like I recommend it if this. And
Yeah,
then,
I would definitely recommend it. I mean, even if you don't have little ones, I feel like you still should play it. But you need to play it multiplayer. If you're gonna play it, if you have no friends, you have nobody to play with, don't bother because it just seems like it'd be kind of an empty game. If you have friends or somebody you can play with, absolutely play it. It's only what, $40?
Yeah, it was,
At the time
it was
this
40
is
bucks. Yeah.
It's not bad. So that's way cheaper than an actual regular Switch game. Because I went to GameStop and they're still $60 for everything. So I'm like, I'm good.
They're starting to come down, but that's because Switch 2's on the way and things like that. But
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So for me, I feel the same way, Jared. I feel like I would recommend it for $40. I feel like it's a good deal. It's also Disney, so you get like the Mickey and all those characters. So far, it's really well done. I like the writing. I like the art style. I like the music. But again, I would highly recommend it for people who want to play with others or can play with others, and especially if you have a little one. For me, anyway, it adds so much more fun to it because you get to play a game with characters that they're very accustomed to, but also you play at your speed and they're able to still play with you. It's really fun. So Highly recommend the game. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. If this is something that you like, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you could click that like button, be greatly appreciated. And until next time, peace.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.